Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is London Barons, and today we're going to be focusing on a pretty important topic, and that is, what is the purpose of the brain? Oftentimes in psychology or in neuroscience, we think of the brain as something that cares mostly about regulating the body in terms of emotions, behaviors, creating and taking in inputs and putting out outputs. But I would say that it's something that's more cohesive than that. And that is that the brain ultimately cares about patterns. Everything the brain does is almost hyper focused on consolidating, recognizing, understanding, and looking for patterns everywhere they go. Almost every psychological concept comes back to that and how it actually ends up influencing our behaviors through those recognitions and patterns. Things like pareidolia, things like paranoia and schizophrenia. It comes down to that. In fact, Gestalt psychology created set principles based off of our incredible pattern recognition skills. Things like closure, continuity, figure and ground, proximity, right? These are all principles that Gestalt psychology showed that our brain cares about more so than anything else. And in addition to that, it's not just the actual problem-solving side of things, but also the emotional side of things. We become accustomed to powerful emotions and our interpretations of that emotions. If my heart starts racing, and I've struggled with anxiety my whole life, of course, my first thought when my heart is racing is, I have anxiety, right? When in reality, it could be something like love, or you just did a workout. But it's difficult to be able to separate that when our brain has already consolidated that pattern, right? This is biologically based with things like long-term potentiation, or even in extreme cases like epigenetics, like especially with stress and things like that, or also in terms of neuroplasticity itself, right? Our entire brain hyper focuses on those patterns. And the more you know your patterns, the more you can start to challenge them over time. One concept and very popular and efficacious therapeutic approach is something called cognitive behavioral therapy, which focuses on finding those negative or distorted thought patterns, challenging them so that you can break out of this cycle of my thought creates these feelings or vice versa, which creates these behaviors and you're just getting stuck. So here's what I propose to you. If you feel you're stuck, if you feel you're just going over the same thing over and over and over, or you've gotten better and then gotten worse, gotten better and gotten worse, allow yourself to sit down, reflect on what didn't work, what did work, and also what you feel you are trying to avoid. Patterns are there because they give us a sense of safety. And for a lot of us, avoiding ourselves, avoiding our emotions, avoiding sometimes what we feel we judge ourselves with is the strongest pattern that we have, because we didn't find safety anywhere else except that avoidance. So allow yourself to utilize the entire goal of the brain to challenge your negativity, your negative thoughts, the negative outlook of the future, in order to create a new narrative for yourself. The narrative of a healthier you, of who you want to be in the end, because you get to choose. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.